stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Morning. My feet are freezing. They are. My feet are fucking freezing. I'm cold. I'm so cold. I might heat blasted, but I'm in the basement and heat being blasted isn't gonna do shit. Good morning. Morning. Happy Thursday. Camera's already going out there. Good morning, Leisure. Good to see you. Now it's gonna be too hot. Well, I wouldn't crank the heat. But now I'm gonna sit on my feet because they're cold. They're cold. It's cold in here, Eddie. It's cold in here, Eddie. Turn up the heat. What time is it? What time is it, Eddie? It's cold in here. Let Eddie Murphy stand up from the 80s for you. That's also where he did the ice cream. I got some ice cream. You don't have none. Because your daddy's an alcoholic. Don't ask me how we got a hold of Eddie. It was on tape. That's what it was. Somehow we gotten it on tape. He had some HBO special or something like that. You think you kids get away with shit now? It's so easy to get away with it now. But yeah, good morning. Good morning. We are going to be, where are we going to be? I think we're going to be in the 12 by 12 this morning, page 90. On page 90. I'm pretty proud of myself about something because I was nervous. I had this meeting coming up on the 31st, and I'm not sure where I sit and things like that. And what I really want is just to be of maximum service. It's about the detox, and I want to be the best that I can be so that we can get what it is that we need for the detox. And so I reached out to the people running it and kind of told them, hey, could you help me out here a little bit? And they wrote back, they're like, yeah, we would be happy to. Just the support that they kind of gave me on it. And it was neat. It was neat. It made me feel like I was doing things the right way. And I'm extremely grateful for that. At being a person who's never really done things the right way. Well, over the last 8 years or whatever, but gosh, there was a big time period before that, right? So, but welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. Yo, Dion. What else is it? Oh, if you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. I put some keywords in my Facebook page that you aren't allowed to say. So hopefully we don't get any mushroom people today, because I put I forget what word it was, but it was whatever main word they use. Why does my camera keep going in and out? This is supposed to be a really good camera, but when it comes to background stuff, it tends to fade in and out. So a little too hot for that, which is good. Which is good. Because I should be able to sit in my house without having to wear fucking layers. Spend a lot of time on the streets, man. So there's some things that I just try and enjoy. Somebody popped on from there and they left. So, let's go get started. Ah, this is kind of funny. You got to see this. I'm just going to share this real quick. All right, right here. If Jesus had a girlfriend, I just find it funny how you died for 3 days. Oh, it is. It's a good camera. The Logi C930 or whatever it's called. It's I do too much moving around and stuff. Oh, here come all the AAWS highlights. AAWS is AA World Services. I get the last drop from our local one, and then I get the newsletter from the AA World Services, so I know what's going on. I need to know what's going on. Good morning, CJ. It is good to see you. It is also Thursday, which means tonight we will have our grassroots meeting. Yeah, if everybody showed up at once, we probably have like 30 people. But what's great is you don't know. See, it's all God. It's God, man. We don't. Anyway, let's get to this. A spiritual axiom on page 90. Of course, I always like to go back a little bit. This is going to be in step 10. I'm going to start on page 89, first full paragraph. Actually, I'm just going to start with step 10, and then we'll end with the spiritual axiom. Is what we'll do. As we work the first 9 steps, we prepare ourselves for the adventure of a new life. But when we approach step 10, we commence to put our AA way of living to practical use day by day in fair weather or foul. Then comes the acid test. Can we stay sober, keep an emotional balance, and live to good purpose under all conditions? It's a tall order, isn't it? But it is possible. It is possible. And now there's 3 things there. Number 1, can we go out and practice these principles? Can we stay sober? Can you go to the ball game and not drink? Can you go to a concert and not drink? Can you go, I'm at the liquor store often. I buy ice. They have great ice. And it's convenient. Right? I'm there for a purpose. When I was doing a lot of walking and I didn't have my driver's license yet, early sobriety, and I often went into a liquor store, grabbed a nice cold Coke or Mountain Dew or whatever, and I had a purpose, right? Can I keep an emotional balance? Okay. See, happiness really isn't the goal. I used to go like this. Now it's more like this. Okay. Some days you don't want this. That's flatlining. Okay. That's right. So we want balance, if you can see 2 little bars where you don't want to go past, right? This would be anger, depression, bad feelings. These would be excitement, not joy. Joy is not excitement. Okay. Excitement overdone. Any emotion overdone for an alcoholic is bad. And it doesn't depend on it doesn't matter the emotion. All right. Serenity is not an emotion, it is a state of being. A continuous look at our assets and liabilities. Now, why do we need to do that? Because you did not figure them all out. There will be more to come. But now you have a process in which you can recognize these liabilities. Right? Now, I do like that they put a continuous look at our assets and liabilities. Okay? You got to do both, or there is no balance. If I'm only looking at my liabilities and not my assets, I do not have balance in my life because I am overabunding on one. Right? Do you mark up your good stuff during the day too? I know a lot of us do, but just as a reminder, not all work in AA is done in red ink. In fact, quite often, it's a pretty bad day that we go to bed at night and that we're in the red. Usually doesn't happen. If you're following the path like it says, then that will not happen. Right? And a real desire to learn and grow by this means our necessities. Necessity means we got to have it. Might as well just be air, water, food, right? We alcoholics have learned this the hard way. Meh. Now, I've been saying this often, people seem to understand it. So, you know, step one was the longest step that you had. And there's a reason why step one is the 100% step. It is the one that has to be done correctly. Okay. How long did it take you to do step one? Well, how long did you drink? Because that's how long it took you to do step one. What does it say? We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. Well, gosh, it took us a long time to get to that, didn't it? So which step is the hardest? Step one. Step one. Now, we all have some contentions when it comes to some of these, but if we keep an open mind, if we are honest and open-minded and willing, okay, then what it is don't make it harder than it has to be. More experienced people, of course, in all times and places have practiced unsparing self-survey and criticism. For the wise have always known that no one can make much of his life until self-searching becomes a regular habit, until he is able to admit and accept what he finds, until he patiently and persistently tries to correct what is wrong. Right? You know, the self-searching becomes a regular habit. When I got here, I had bad habits. Now I have much better habits. Self-searching is a habit. In fact, it's quite often people tell me, I like how vulnerable you are. I'm not being as vulnerable as people think. Because when I hear vulnerable, what I hear is I'm leaving myself open for you to do something to me. And I'm sorry, but my brain's not going to go for that. But more in the sense of, let's do this. Let's look it up. Definition of vulnerable.
Here's the definition of vulnerable: susceptible to physical or emotional attack or harm.
So am I vulnerable? No. But they're using that word as a compliment. But to somebody like me, and I've got to take things the right way because I hear this quite often. I love your passion. I'm going to tell you, I know what that means. It means you think I'm crazy. Okay, it doesn't really mean anything else. When you utilize these words. So being vulnerable, I don't know that I'm necessarily being vulnerable. I'm just stating fact. Vulnerable means I'm in a position to be hurt. Oh, you're putting yourself in a position to be hurt. I got God on my side. What the fuck are you talking about? So, what does it mean when somebody says they appreciate my vulnerability? It means they kind of want it too and they can't do it. That's what it means. Yeah. Until he persistently tries. So, first it says he has to admit and accept what he finds. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you, Amber. When a drunk has a terrific hangover because he drank heavily yesterday, he cannot live well today. But there's another kind of hangover which we experience whether we are drinking or not. That is the emotional hangover. The direct result of yesterday's and sometimes today's excesses of negative emotion, anger, fear, jealousy, and the like. Say what again? Good morning? Which part? That's going to be hard because you won't know. You're like, but I don't know what you're. It was probably when I was back here until he admits and accepts, and until he patiently and persistently tries to correct what is wrong. It's probably what you're talking about. You got to find it, admit it, but it doesn't. It doesn't go. I'm not sure. When someone thanks us for being vulnerable. Oh, the last part I said. Usually when people say I'm vulnerable is because I am doing what they want, but they can't get to it. And it isn't really being vulnerable. I'm not being vulnerable. What I'm being is transparent. I'm being honest, not vulnerable. See, people like to utilize these words in order to, because what is vulnerable? Well, it's a perspective, it's name calling. It's people, a lot of times people are gaslighting and they have no idea that they're doing it. They have no idea. People that work HR do it a lot. I'm sorry you feel that way. Fuck you. Fuck you. When I did my exit interview for East Metro Detox, which I did talk to them about, because at the end she's like, do you have anything for me? And I said, yeah, you need to get rid of, I'm sorry you feel that way, because it's all you said to me and you have no idea how I actually feel. It's rude to say, and I find it weird coming from you that you work at a mental health place, right? These are just things that I've noticed, and I get told quite often that I'm vulnerable, right? Oh, you're a man and you're being vulnerable, and shut the fuck up. No, what you're calling me is weak, and I don't appreciate that. At the same time, I know what you're trying to get to, and so I can bypass that, and I will forgive in the moment, but I ain't gonna forget it. I won't. So anyway, so the emotional hangover of the excess of negative emotion from the day before. If we would live serenely today and tomorrow, we certainly need to eliminate these hangovers. This doesn't mean we need to wander morbidly around in the past. It requires an admission of correction of errors now. Now, 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 now. Okay. We did something and we need to correct it. Okay. We need to take care of it now. What if we can't take care of it now? Okay. What if it has to wait till tomorrow? Isn't that going to be an excess? Transparent. The truth. Experience. I'm just telling you how I feel. That doesn't mean it's correct, Claire. Let's verify that. You know. So there you go. See, that works great. Yeah. Thank you for your truth. I think that's perfect because that's what it is. You know, um, just like people that do nothing but give me high praise, I know they don't like me. That's what people will do that. We've been taught. We've been taught certain things, right? And I get it. I get it. I understand why people would say vulnerable, but to me, and that's why it is me just sharing how I feel on it. And feelings aren't always facts in these cases, right? I'm just telling you what I observe. And I could be wrong, but I'm not. For me, if that makes sense. But you can have your own perspective. It's all right. Our inventory enables us to settle with the past. When this is done, we are really able to leave it behind us. And that's going to be the kind of the key to even what I was just talking about is that I need to settle the past. I need to make sure that my past is settled. Otherwise, it's just frothy emotional appeal. Yeah, please be ready to discuss any medication you take as part of your, you guys should know all my medications. Although all inventories are alike in principle, the time factor, oh, so what if you can't take care of it now and it's going to be tomorrow? Well, we don't need that excess. So we're going to give it to God. We're going to give it to your higher power. I can't take care of this right now because otherwise I'm just going to think on it and think on it and think on it. And then I'm going to start to what if it. And then I'm going to think that I know what's going to be said at any given moment during that conversation. And then the conversation is not going to go the way that I thought it was. And then guess what? Then the expectation is going to turn into more resentment. So yeah, we got to let it go. And that's the hard part. It is a practice. Letting go is a practiced skill of which you will never be perfect. It's okay. Forgive yourself and move on. There's a spot check inventory taken any time of the day whenever we find ourselves getting tangled up. You can start your day over anytime you want, even if it's right before you go to bed. You have permission to start your day over. There's one we take at day's end when we review the happenings of the hours just past. Here we cast up a balance sheet, crediting ourselves with things well done and chalking up debits due. Now, this is where I get a little confused because they said that you need to take care of it now. So I take care of it now. So why at the end of the day am I going to go back over all of that when I know it's already taken care of? I don't do this part. I'm beyond. I don't do this part. At the end of the day, I've done it. I don't need to review it. It's done. If it needs to be carried to the next day, I've already let it go. Okay. Both ways work. If you do it at the end of the day and that's your practice and you've made a good habit of it, then good fucking job. Right. But to me, it's like they gave you a couple options here. So then there are those occasions when alone in our company of our sponsor or spiritual advisor, we make careful review of our progress since last time. Now, I usually do this at the beginning. Hey, how was your week? Well, this happened, that happened. And that might take up the whole hour. We might not get to a big book or step sometimes. Not very often. Usually we can get through the day, through the week in, 15 minutes, usually less. And the more along they go, the less it seems to happen in the week. So guess what I get to do? What? Nothing will happen. Well, look at that. But what we do is we mark up progress is what I do. Yeah. Progress they don't see yet. Okay. But I can see it. Many AAs go in for annual and semi-annual house cleaning. Many of us also like the experience of an occasional retreat from the outside world where we can quiet down for an undisturbed day or so for self-overhaul and meditation. Um, so there's a couple of things. Sometimes people do yearly 4 steps. Cool. I I was taught that you do a 4 step, and then if you do the 10th step correctly, you don't have to do another one. Both ways work. Okay. If a semi-annual house cleaning works for you and it works, then that's what you do, man. That's what you do. Is it nice that we get options? We're still taking the same path. We're just doing it a little differently because we're different. Yeah. Um, I don't know if I could sit quiet for a day or so. No, I do need to get out of town soon. It's coming. I probably gonna wait till spring. Aren't these practices joys killer as well as time consuming? Must AA spend most of their waking hours drearily rehashing their sins of omission or commission? Well, hardly. The emphasis on inventory is heavy only because a great many of us never really acquired the habit of accurate self-appraisal, right? So even my self-appraisal when I was drinking was wrong. It was off. This shoe is cold. I put a shoe on because my right foot was sticking out. My feet are cold. Once this healthy practice has become grooved, another way of saying habit, it will be so interesting and profitable that the time it takes won't be missed. For these minutes and sometimes hours spent in self-examination are bound to make all the other hours of our day better and happier. At length, our inventories become a regular part of everyday living rather than something unusual or set apart. Ugh, sorry. There are going to be some days where you might feel an overwhelming rebellion. I've gone through it. not as often now, right? But, and what does it usually have to do with? Well, patience. That I'm not getting what I want quite yet, or something like that, and I rebel. Don't think too badly of yourself. It's part of the process, man. It's part of the process. And sorry, now my legs are hurting, so I can't. And my right foot's falling asleep because I'm cutting off the. Great, now it's going to be up all night. So don't think too hard of yourself. If you get a sickening rebellion, just go back to what you were doing. Let's go back to what you were doing. Time to heat up my right foot. Before we ask what a spot check inventory is, let's look at the kind of setting in which an inventory can do its work. It is a spiritual axiom. Let's find out what axiom is. I think I know. What is the definition of axiom?
Here's the definition of axiom: a statement or proposition which is regarded as being established, accepted, or self-evidently true.
It's not what I thought. I thought of like a balance kind of thing. That's what went through my head. So the axiom that supplies equal demand. What is axiom in simple words? There we go. An axiom, a statement that everyone believes is true. Oh, so it is a spiritual truth that every time we are disturbed, I'll make it a little bit easier. No matter what the cause, because I thought of it wrong, and that makes a difference. Makes a difference. Time that we are disturbed, no matter what the cause, there's something wrong with us. God, that's so hard to accept. If I get angry, it's my fault. It's on me. If I decide to react and do whatever, it's going to be on me. And it's a hard part, but I'm not saying that other people haven't done things, don't do things, or anything like that. What I'm saying is that their side of the street doesn't matter. What matters is our side of the street, and we've got to keep it clean. Now, why do we got to keep our side of the street clean? Because when we do that, then we are very well capable of helping other people. Does your side of the street need to be totally clean before you help others? Absolutely not. But if we're going to be of maximum service to God and world around us, then our side of the street needs to be taken care of first. If somebody hurts us and we are sore, we're in the wrong also. But are there no exceptions to this rule? What about justifiable anger? If somebody cheats us, aren't we entitled to be mad? Absolutely. Have a good day, Amber. Love you. Can't we be properly angry with self-righteous folk? For us of AA, these are dangerous exceptions. We have found that justified anger ought to be left to those better qualified to help to handle it. And even then, I'm sorry, there is nobody in this world that makes it okay to have justifiable anger. I know we can think of some pretty bad things in our brain about that, though, huh? We can. All right. It's not what, let's watch them worldly clamors, man. There's a lot of worldly clamors right now. We all know what it is. I'm not going to. I see a lot of people online. Man, it's just. I tend to see things differently when it comes to politics. First, I intentionally don't know much because I don't want to argue about it. I have my passions in life, and it has nothing to do with government. In fact, I'm trying to remove the government from it. All right. I see people out there doing certain things, and see, the thing is you can confront somebody and not be angry and not utilize your anger. Absolutely. I'm going to do one more paragraph and we'll go ahead and wrap up today. For few people have been more victimized by resentments than have we alcoholics. It mattered little whether our resentments were justified or not. A burst of temper could spoil a day. You ever go weeks and weeks and you're doing the right thing around your significant other, and then you make one mistake and it's all that's talked about? And you're like, fuck, I made one mistake. But we even tend to focus on that. What about the people in our lives? What about the people in our lives? Are we giving them grace? Are we showing grace with other people? A well-nursed grudge could make us miserably ineffective. Nor were we ever skillful in separating justified anger from unjustified anger. They are so right on with that. I am not very skillful with it. The biggest skill I have with it would be this. I know that I'm justifying my anger and that I can't. That is a bad route for Dion. Now why? Why? Heart attacks, strokes. It'll fuck up your body. Okay? When I'm in a bad mood, my shoulder pain is a lot more than when I have a good attitude. Weird? No. See, when you have a spiritual malady, it affects all of it. It affects me physically, emotionally, and mentally when I am off spiritually. God, my phone is just enough with the dinging. He's lucky he just wrote me, because I was getting ready to write that guy this morning and be like, what the fuck? Meet my justifiable anger. It's the people doing my website. They're called free website guys. And I'm letting them do the back end. So I can't, and they're doing it for free. Well, can't really be a dick then, can you? Nope. Just yesterday, earlier, I don't know if you were here or not. I have a big meeting, and I'm nervous about it because I don't know my place. And I want to be of maximum service. I want to be the best Dion has ever fucking been at this meeting. Something just tells me I need to be at that spot. But that means I need to be very open-minded and understanding where other people are coming from. I'm going to have to utilize my empathy. So they're willing to meet with me. And and I'm discussing with them back and forth that I enjoy hard conversations. I do. I enjoy them, especially if we were going to get to a solution. Yes, absolutely. I'll do it all day. Is it uncomfortable? Kinda. Not really. See, when you utilize God's will all the time and you come out the other side unscathed and usually getting what you want, that fear isn't there. The fear is some of these people are full of shit and they don't know it. Okay? They're fighting something that they have no business fighting. So how do you get through to people that are like that? Well, the only way to do it is through education and empathy, and hope that they're open-minded enough to hear it. Okay? Now, the other thing is every single person that is there did not go get the job because they hate people, because they don't have a servant's heart. They have a servant's heart. You bet they do. And that's what we need to utilize. That's what I'm going after. So, they're not the enemy. They're naive. And that's okay. Why? Because I'm pretty freaking naive about other stuff that they do. So we got to come together on a common ground. So, all right. As we saw it, our wrath was always justified. I don't know. Every time I really ripped into somebody that I loved, I felt bad. I didn't feel justified. I knew I was wrong. I just wasn't willing to admit it out loud. I wasn't. Anger, that occasional luxury of more balanced people, could keep us on an emotional jag indefinitely. These emotional dry benders often led to the bottom other kinds of disturbances: jealousy, envy, self-pity, that pity, or hurt pride did the same thing. These, you know what those are, and we just kind of, they're the seven deadly sins. Those tend to be our, character defects, and we also write about them a lot. Um, you see, a lot of people, when the big book was coming out, wanted it to be Christian based. And then there were other people that didn't even want God in it, right? So they had to come to a mutual understanding, and that is something I appreciated that they did, you know. And what a hard conversation to have. What a hard conversation to have. But see, when we have these hard conversations and there's going to be a solution in it, that's what it needs to go for. Yeah. So, all right. It's going to be it for today. I'm probably going to go to a 10 o'clock meeting. I think I'm just going to kind of fill my day with meetings today. Just feels right. Don't forget, we got our 5 o'clock meeting tonight. I hope everybody has a good day. I'm sure I'll be live again today. Good chance of it. All right. Thank you, everybody. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.